If you wanted to speed up aging, increase your risk of chronic diseases, give yourself mobility issues, and basically just lower your quality of life as you get older, then there are two things that you could do. Gain weight and lose muscle. Now, obviously, no one wants these things, but a lot of people in the population are on track to experience them because they have something called sarcopenic obesity. And look, by now, everyone knows the risks surrounding obesity. Achieving a healthy weight, we know, is one of the cornerstones of preventing chronic disease. But there's another side to this coin that we need to discuss. Because if we think obesity is bad, then sarcopenic obesity just takes things to another level. So today, I'm going to explain what sarcopenic obesity is, how it impacts on your health, and what you can do to prevent it or manage it. So let's go. So, in the most simple terms, sarcopenic obesity is when you have the two conditions of obesity and sarcopenia at the same time. Now, I have done a video on sarcopenia in the past, so I'll put that in the description, but essentially, sarcopenia is the age-related loss of muscle mass. As we get older, we tend to naturally lose muscle mass, and this is usually an issue for older adults above 65 years old because the rate of muscle loss speeds up in those older years. But technically, the process of muscle loss can start as early as in your 30s or your 40s. So that's one side of the coin, right? Sarcopenia, muscle loss. Now, the other side is obesity. So obesity is the accumulation of body fat to the point that it can start to cause negative effects on your health. It's still diagnosed today using BMI, and a BMI over 30 is generally considered as having obesity. Now, here in Australia, 1 in 3 people are obese, and in America, around 40% of adults are obese. So it is something that is affecting a lot of people. So if you are obese and you have low muscle mass, then you have sarcopenic obesity. And it's actually quite hard to find numbers about how many people have this combined condition because it's not really talked about as much. But it is much more common in older people, which makes sense because they tend to lose muscle mass more. Now, that doesn't mean that younger people don't need to worry. We are seeing more and more people in the 40 to 60-year-old age group having less muscle mass and more body fat. And this channel, it's all about preventing these conditions that we experience in later life. So yes, regardless of your age, you need to be aware of this. So how do we diagnose sarcopenic obesity? Because it's a good idea to know if you're at risk or maybe if you're there already. The good news is it's not too hard. The first thing you need to look at is BMI. If your BMI is over 30, then you're halfway there. Sarcopenia is a little bit more involved with diagnosing, but we tend to look at muscle strength tests. The most common is the hand grip strength. So they use a device that looks like this, and what you have to do is you have to squeeze as hard as you can, and depending on what you get, you may be classed as being sarcopenic. Now, for the most accurate diagnosis, you would need a DEXA scan because those machines, they tell you exactly how much muscle mass you have, but those are expensive and we can't have everyone just having a scan. So these more simple tests like your hand grip strength, they're good enough because you just need to have an idea of where you're at. So if you are worried about or thinking that it might be something that you're at risk of experiencing or having, talk to your doctor or even a physiotherapist and get them to test your strength. Now, I just want to spend some time talking about why sarcopenic obesity is such a big problem. The main issue is that you get the combined health risks of both of them. So with obesity, we know from the massive amount of research that's been done that obesity can increase the risk of conditions like type 2 diabetes and heart disease. It can also lead to arthritis because of the weight that your joints have to hold as well. And then if you look at sarcopenia, there's an increased risk of falls and fractures, especially for older people. You would have weakness because you have less muscle, and that can make day-to-day activities like walking, standing up from a chair, going upstairs more difficult. And these things are hard enough when you are a normal body weight. if you have a higher BMI and you weigh more, then having less muscle is just going to be that much more difficult to deal with. And day-to-day activities, like the things I've mentioned before, they're going to become even harder. It's having the worst of both worlds, essentially. The metabolic risks from obesity and then the movement and mobility issues from sarcopenia. And the main issue is that they sort of turn into a vicious cycle eventually that start to cause each other, because as you get obesity and have this extra weight that you carry, movement and physical activity can become harder, and this prevents people from exercising. And if you're not exercising enough, that speeds up muscle loss because exercise helps you increase muscle mass. And so this lack of exercise, that makes you lose more muscle, which makes you feel weaker, and you'll move less because you feel weaker, and that can lead to weight gain, which again prevents movement. So do you see where I'm going with this? Now put that all together and other issues like mental health issues can appear because your overall quality of life will be reduced. With the amount of the population that have obesity at the moment, I think it's really important that everyone is aware of the issues that losing muscle mass can lead to. So that's why I just wanted to make this video, so that you can learn what it is and why you need to care about it. I think when a lot of people hear about sarcopenia, they imagine a frail old person, and that's what I want to sort of erase from your mind. Yes, the frail elderly person is more likely to face sarcopenia, but so are a lot of other people who look very different to that. Having more weight does not mean that you have more muscle. So, what can you do about this? Well, you probably already know the answer, especially if you have seen probably any of my other videos. The answer is exercise, and I think the answer is always going to be exercise when it comes to these chronic health conditions. Exercise can help in two ways when it comes to sarcopenic obesity. One, it helps you lose weight, and two, it helps you to increase your muscle mass, which with sarcopenic obesity are the two exact things that you need to achieve: weight loss and muscle gain. Of course, exercise isn't the only way to achieve these things. Nutrition plays a very important role as well. So subscribe to the channel if you're still here, because next week's video will go through how you can use exercise and nutrition to help with either preventing or managing sarcopenic obesity. I wanted to just make this video because it's never too late to turn things around. If you're in a position where you might already have sarcopenic obesity, small changes will still go a very long way. If you are someone who maybe doesn't have to think about these conditions just yet, then you're at a good point to start making changes to your lifestyle that will prevent these things from happening. Again, small changes over a long period of time. That's really all I have to say about this for now. If you want to learn more about chronic diseases and the lifestyle changes that you can make to prevent and manage them, then check out my channel. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep playing the long game.